Hello everybody, right, we're back to the Twits, the next 4 chapters. My son's here doing some homeschooling on that side. Put your hand in and say hello, Ruben. Thank you, well, quietly. So here's the Twits, and this is terribly dark and lots of nasty things going on, aren't there? The Twits don't seem to like each other. I've said it before, what's going to happen next? In the last couple of chapters, Mr. Twit was trying to catch birds for a bird pie and ended up catching 4 boys, but fortunately they escaped by the seat of their pants. So these are the next 4 chapters in the Twits, and this one is called The Great Upside Down Monkey Circus. Now for the monkeys. The 4 monkeys in the cage in the garden were all one family. They were Muggle-Wump and his wife and their 2 small children, but what on earth were Mr. and Mrs. Twit doing with monkeys in their garden? Well, in the old days, they had both worked in a circus as monkey trainers. They used to teach monkeys to do tricks and dress up in human clothes and to smoke pipes and all the rest of that nonsense. Today, although they were retired, Mr. Twit still wanted to train monkeys. It was his dream that one day he would own the first great upside-down monkey circus in the world. That meant that the monkeys had to do everything upside down. They had to dance upside down on their hands with their feet in the air. They had to play football upside down. They had to balance one on top of the other upside down, with Muggle-Wump at the bottom and the smallest baby monkey at the very top. They even had to eat and drink upside down, and that is not an easy thing to do because the food and water has to go up your throat instead of down it. In fact, it's almost impossible, but the monkeys simply had to do it. Otherwise, they got nothing. All this sounds pretty silly to you and me. It sounded pretty silly to the monkeys too. They absolutely hated having to do this upside down nonsense day after day. It made them giddy standing on their heads for hours on end. Sometimes the 2 small monkey children would faint with so much blood going to their heads, but Mr. Twit, he didn't care about that. He kept them practicing for 6 hours every day, and if they didn't do as they were told, Mrs. Twit would soon come running with her beastly stick. The Roly-Poly Bird to the rescue. Just to show you the poor monkeys in the cage, and look, what's that on top? Is that the Roly-Poly Bird? Let's find out. Muggle-Wump and his family longed to escape from the cage in Mr. Twit's garden and go back to the African jungle where they came from. They hated Mr. and Mrs. Twit for making their lives so miserable. They also hated them for what they did to the birds every Tuesday and Wednesday. "Fly away, birds," they used to shout, jumping about in the cage and waving their arms. "Don't sit on that big dead tree. It's just been smeared all over with sticky glue. Go and sit somewhere else." But these were English birds, and they couldn't understand the weird African language that the monkeys spoke. So they took no notice and went on using the big dead tree and getting caught for Mrs. Twit's bird pie. Then one day, a truly magnificent bird flew down out of the sky and landed on the monkey cage. "Good heavens!" cried all the monkeys together. "It's the Roly-Poly Bird. What on earth are you doing over here in England, Roly-Poly Bird?" Like the monkeys, the Roly-Poly Bird had come from Africa, and he spoke the same language as they did. "I've come for a holiday," said the Roly-Poly Bird. "I like to travel." He fluffed his marvellous coloured feathers and looked down rather grandly at the monkeys. "For most people," he went on, "flying away on holiday is very expensive, but I can fly anywhere in the world for nothing." "Do you know how to talk to these English birds?" Muggle-Wump asked him. "Of course I do," said the Roly-Poly Bird. "It's no good going to a country and not knowing the language." "Then we must hurry," said Muggle-Wump. "Today is Tuesday, and over there you are already seeing the revolting Mr. Twit up the ladder, painting sticky glue on all the branches of the big dead tree. This evening, when the birds come in to roost, you must warn them not to perch on that tree, or they will be made into a bird pie." That evening, the Roly-Poly Bird flew round and round the big dead tree, singing out, "There's sticky stick stuff all over the tree. If you land in the branches, you'll never get free. So fly away, stay up high, or you'll finish up tomorrow in a hot bird pie." No bird pie for Mr. Twit. The The next morning, when Mr. Twit came out with a huge basket to snatch all the birds from the big dead tree, there wasn't a single one on it. They were all sitting on top of the monkey cage. The Roly-Poly Bird was there as well, and Muggle-Wump and his family were inside the cage, and the whole lot of them were laughing at Mr. Twit. Still no bird pie for Mr. Twit. Mr. Twit wasn't going to wait another week for his bird pie supper. He loved bird pie. It was his favourite meal. So that very same day he went after the birds again. This time he smeared all the top bars of the monkey cage with sticky glue, as well as the branches of the big dead tree. Now, I'll get you, he said, whichever one you sit on. The monkeys crouched inside the cage, watching all this, and later on, when the Roly-Poly Bird came swooping in for an evening chat, they shouted out, "Don't land on the cage, Roly-Poly Bird, it's covered in sticky glue, so is the tree." And that evening, as the sun went down and all the birds came in again to roost, the Roly-Poly Bird flew round and round the monkey cage and the big dead tree, singing out his warning. "There's sticky stuff now in the cage and the tree. If you land on either, you'll never get free. So fly away, stay up high, or you'll finish up tomorrow in a hot bird pie." I wonder how Mr. Twit and Mrs. Twit are feeling about them not having any pie and these animals getting the better of them, which I think is fantastic. So until next time, thank you very much.